Um, so this is the cabinet. It's 4 inches deep, which allows you to put in a hallway. So aside from being a security improvement, it's also potentially a workflow improvement because you can put the drugs where they're needed. Also, being 4 inches deep, it could go in a hallway. So some centers are using this to be compliant with their use of multi-dose vials. And I don't know if you use multi-dose vials, um, but if you do, they're not supposed to be prepped or stored in a patient care area. So this would allow you to put them right outside the patient care area and be compliant with the CDC recommendations. So the idea here is that every user would have um, a unique identifier to log it to access the system, and that could be a PIN code. So someone could log in via PIN code, or if they have a badge system, an RFID badge system, they can use their existing badges to log into here. So you can see I just used a badge. If they don't have a badge system, we can also provide these, but most facilities that have a badge to get into the building or access other equipment uh, prefer to use their existing system. So once you're in, it shows you a diagram of the cabinet. So it shows you the bins, the labels of the bins. Uh, there's also the ability to select by medication, which I'll cover a little bit later. But there's a couple ways you could use it. In its simplest form, if you want to just access a drug and go, you can do that. So, for instance, if I press this button here, it unlocks the corresponding bin and it just comes out. We also have a prep area built into the system. So if I unlock that, this supply storage area opens and I can prep my meds right here. So again, that's great for, say, multi-dose vials. You could drop the vial, the syringe right here, and then be on your way. So that's the simplest way to use it, and it's great for drugs and supplies that maybe you don't want to track, to a discrete level. You just want to have them secured and separated. It still tracks who went in at what time and what they access. But if you want a little bit more control in that, then bin by bin you can turn on inventory management. And as an example, I'll come in here into a bin that I labeled narcotics. It's going to ask me for a secondary PIN because there's controlled substances in here. So that's how we handle a double lock. There is a keyed lock option, but most people just want the secondary PIN for narcotics. Then it'll show me the specific drugs that are in that bin, and I can choose, say I'm going to dispense OxyContin. There's different options. I can dispense the med. There's abilities to return and record waste, to restock, or move the med to a different location. But I'm just going to dispense it. It'll ask me for a quantity. I'm going to say 1. It'll ask me for a patient ID. Right now, this is manually entered. Most facilities are using an MRN number. So I'll just enter a number as an example and then hit dispense. And only then will the bin open. So now instead of just tracking who went into which bin at what time, it also tracks what they took and for which patient, and also keeps a running total. So the reason we're doing that is we're trying to replace the paper logs that facilities keep for narcotics. And you currently keep a paper narcotic log, daily count sheet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this system, you can do your medication counts right on here. So if I come into this menu and choose Reconcile Now, the first thing it's going to do is ask me for a witness, so someone can witness the count. So a different user has to come by and badge in. Then I'll ask for start of shift or end of shift count. So if it's the end of shift, let's say we're going to do our counts. It's telling me these bins here don't have meds that I'm controlling or that I have an inventory management turned on. These bins do. So I'll come into this first bin. It unlocks it. I can open it up and count the drugs. and then enter a count for each drug that's in that bin. So I'll just take a guess here of what's in there, and my count is not correct, so it's telling me there's a discrepancy. And you would do this bin by bin, drug by drug, and the advantage of doing it bin by bin is if there is a discrepancy, you can look at the records and see who's been in that bin since the last reconciliation, and try to figure out where the drug went missing. Any questions so far? While we're in close, I'll just show you a couple other features here. So a few features that surgery centers and other ambulatory facilities like is the ability to set their hours. So if I come in here, I can set the days that the days that a facility is open, the hours that it's open, and the cabinet will be in a lockdown mode outside those hours. So only an administrator can get in it. It's just another level of security. Yeah, that no one else is going into it nights and weekends. In terms of user management, it's really simple to configure a user, to add a user. It's really easy, but we have different user levels. So the default user level is a nurse, and a nurse can get in and access drugs but not change settings. Then above that we have a manager level, which can turn on nurses, disable and enable them, but can't change higher level settings. We have an admin that can do everything in the system and access drugs. We even have an IT level, and the IT level can change settings, like connect it to the network and change those types of settings, but can't access drugs. And the last level is an assistant. So if you had a CNA or other assistant level, they can access supplies but not drugs, and that's helped some facilities because they've had CNAs or other assistants retrieving supplies that were locked up, and they had to get a nurse every time they wanted to go in the cabinet. So it really saves time. The last thing with these users is you can mark a user as temporary. So if you had a travel nurse or other temporary worker that was going to be with you for a fixed amount of time, you can mark them as temporary and say they're going to be with you till the end of August. You can choose that they're there till August 30th, and after that time they'll automatically lose access to the cabinet. The last thing I want to show you is what we call our sidekick. That's our expansion cabinet, and it connects to the MedServ and is basically a slave unit to it. There's a little dongle here that connects the two. So the way it works is you log in the same way, and it has the same controls, same inventory management if you want, but when you unlock it from this screen, and then it just pops open. And aside from the electronic controls, it's a really simple cabinet. This one's just a wide open cabinet. You have height adjustable shelves, and the idea here is you can bulk store your meds like propofol. If you have boxes of those types of drugs, you can store them in here. And through our software we have a move function. So let's say you had vials of propofol here and you're working through them. When you're nearly depleted or fully depleted, you can then say, I'm going to move a box of propofol, 25 vials, from here to there, and restock on the fly, and it keeps the inventory correct in all the locations, and also keeps a record of who moved those drugs and who accessed each cabinet. So that's a system really. And then what we have is this is going to report all the information to the cloud so that you can see your inventory levels, you can see all your transactions, and then you can run reports on your daily drug usage. So, what was your morning count, what happened during the day, where were the drugs going, and what was your evening count. So that way you can get rid of your paper narcotic logs and keep that all in the cloud. If you want to print them, you can, but it's all stored digitally.